Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
Years and years ago, when I started in the private practice of law, I was in what is now AmSpirit Business Connections, but I didn't own it. I wasn't a franchisee. I was just a member. So this is a long time ago. I was 6 months into my solo practice as an attorney, and you know what? As much as I really wanted this thing to go well, my small little law practice, and it eventually did. Like anything, it's a struggle in the beginning. But I was having lunch one day with a friend, a member in the chapter, somebody I had met through networking, a woman by the name of Angie Hollerick. And Angie was a financial advisor. She has since gone off and has become an author and a speaker. But at any rate, at that point, we were talking, and things weren't going well for me. I left a job in public accounting as a tax consultant. I was doing really well, making good money. I wasn't really enjoying it, but you know what? The other things were there. And so I was kind of commiserating with her about my life. And she stopped and she shared a story with me. And she told me that she told me about a client that had just contacted her, and everything that was great from that client. It was a program that she had done several years earlier, 5 years earlier, I think was the number she had mentioned. I did this program 5 years earlier to a group of execs. Nothing really came from it, but last week this guy called and he just said, Angie, I didn't need you then, but I need you now. I'm getting ready to retire, and I've got this 401k, and I'm not exactly sure, whatever. And she went on and on and on, talked about the referrals he was going to send her and all this money that she was going to be working with and whatnot. And I laugh about it now, but it's really hard to hear other people's good news when you're kind of suffering. And I didn't say it, but I could tell I know it was written on my face. And what was written on my face was, oh, goody for you. Oh, goody for you. And she stopped me. She says, you don't understand, Frank. You haven't been doing what you've been doing for 5 years for this to come back to you. You just have to be patient. And that's an incredible story. And I was reminded of that the other day when an article hit my inbox. And the article was by Stacey Harris, who, if you listen to this podcast, I released an interview with her about 8 weeks ago or so now. But the title of the article was Relationships That Pay Off Usually Aren't the New Ones. And she goes on and she shares in the article about how, we're always trying to find that new shiny person in our network, and that's really not where the payoff comes from. The payoff comes from people like Angie described, somebody that she met, invested time in 5 years earlier, and all of a sudden things come back to us, or came back to Angie. And I'm seeing those things not all the time, but with regular consistency. In fact, it was just a few weeks ago, I got a call from someone I hadn't talked to in probably 8 months. There were no recent meetings, no active conversations. There was nothing in play between us. It was basically just silence. But when I saw the name pop up on my phone, I remembered exactly who it was. We had met at an event and had a great conversation, exchanged a few follow-ups, and then life happens and we drifted. And that happens. Anyhow, I answered the call and he says, Frank, I was just talking with someone who needs what you do. They need some help with respect to networking, and they connected us. And the interesting part here is that this referral didn't come from the last person I met. It didn't come from someone I had just had coffee with. It came from someone I had invested in and then simply stayed connected to. Not intensely, certainly not perfectly, but consistently enough. And that's the essence of what Angie Hollerick was trying to tell me all those years ago, and which Stacey reiterated in her article. Unfortunately, as humans, we are wired to chase new, new contacts, new conversations, new opportunities. It feels productive. It feels like momentum, right? But here's the truth. New relationships are like seeds. They have potential, but they're not going to produce something right away. And too many people treat networking like a scavenger hunt. Who else can I meet? Who's new in the room? Who haven't I talked to yet? But the real opportunity is sitting quietly in relationships you've already started. In fact, I've seen people at networking events kind of joke with people who are sitting there talking to people they already know. And what are you doing? You already know these people. You know what? That's a valuable use of time. It's probably a better use of time than racing around trying to meet new people the entire event. Often, the missing ingredient to good networking is simply time. You meet the right person, you have the right conversation, you even follow up the right way. But if you don't give it time, it doesn't matter, because trust doesn't happen in a moment. Trust is a slow burn. It's not a light switch. And here's what happens over time. People watch how consistent we are. They see how we show up. They begin to understand how we help others. They start to feel comfortable putting their reputation on the line to refer us. And that last one is everything, because a referral is not a favor. It's really a transfer of trust. It's essentially that person saying, "Here, I want to refer you to Frank. I trust him. I know he'll take care of you." Stacey Harris has a term for this. She calls it relational equity. Equity, like stock, like an investment. And this relational equity builds three ways. One, it builds quietly. There's no applause, there's no scoreboard, no instant feedback. You don't always know what's happening, but it's building. You can't see it. Second, it builds over time. Weeks can turn into months, months into years, and suddenly you're top of mind. Suddenly it's the right place, right time for somebody who you've built trust with. And finally, it's built without immediate return. And this is where most people quit. They plant, and then they dig up the seed to see if it's growing. You can't do that. You just have to have the patience. You have to plant the seed, you water it. You just have to trust the process. The beauty of relational equity is that it's not complicated, but it is intentional. Relational equity looks like this: reaching out when there is no agenda. I just had somebody call me just to say, "Hey, you know what? I just wanted to check in. I know people call you a lot of times with problems. There are no issues. Everything's going great in my AmSpirit group. I just wanted to say hello." Awesome, right? Making introductions without keeping score. You have people in your network, two people, who need to know each other. Take the time to do that. It doesn't take a lot of effort. This person wants to be on a podcast and this person has a podcast. Just make the connection. Another thing, remembering something personal and following up on that. Stacy and I have got to know each other. We're always joking about the weather. She's in Houston, I'm up in Ohio. It's freezing here sometimes and boiling hot down there. We joke about it, right? Or I'll be talking with somebody, I know their son's in this sort of an event. I have a friend whose daughter plays softball. I'm not really a softball fan, but you know what? Hey, how's your daughter doing? Because it's exciting for her. Staying connected long after the first meeting. A lot of people take that first meeting and they try to size it up and, okay, what's here? What's going to happen? How do we see this is going to work? And then they judge whether the plant is going to yield fruit or not. And that'll determine whether they're going to put any sort of effort into it. You just have to trust it. It's like tending a garden. You just don't stand there yelling at the soil. You show up, you take care of it, and over time it produces. Why do people abandon things too soon? Because we live in a world of instant gratification, instant results, quick wins. They want immediate feedback. And networking doesn't work that way. Networking works, but it doesn't work on your timeline. Networking works, but it doesn't work how you want it to work. Networking works, but it doesn't work when you want it to work or where you want it to work. And when people don't see quick results, they just assume it's not working. No, they're not trusting the process. It is working. You just walked away before the payoff hit. If you're leading a team, this matters even more because people will default to activity over effectiveness. They'll chase new contacts, count conversations, measure volume. But leaders need to ask, if you've got a sales team or you have a networking group, you have to ask, are we encouraging depth? Or are we just encouraging activity? Are you giving people time to build relationships? Are you trying to measure things week to week, month to month? Are you reinforcing consistency over quick wins? Because organizations don't grow through random networking. They grow through intentional, relationship-driven systems. Again, Stacy's term, relational equity. Good organizations place a high value on their organizations or their people developing relational equity. So let me bring it back to you. Am I expecting quick results from networking? No. No, I'm not. Am I investing in relations that will matter 6 months from now? I am. And those are two completely different strategies. And they produce two completely different outcomes. Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy playing the waiting game, but that's the game. Those are the rules. So let's go back to the call I mentioned earlier, not after my conversation with Angie. That opportunity didn't come because I said something brilliant. It didn't come because I followed up perfectly. It came about because I stayed in the game long enough to be remembered, long enough to be trusted, long enough to matter. And here's the point I want you to carry away with. Somewhere in your network right now, there's a relationship that hasn't paid off yet. You haven't built enough relational equity. And it's not to say that it won't. It's just because you haven't put enough time in. So don't abandon that relationship. Don't overlook it. And don't replace it with something new just because new feels productive. In networking, just like in life, the biggest returns don't come from what you start, they come from what you stay with.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connections. All rights reserved.